I'm taking advantage of some perfect spring weather to do some home maintenance, specifically with some vines that are taking over my gardens and part of the house here. I'm going to start with a plant that looks pretty familiar to many. This is English ivy, Hedera helix, and it's an ornamental that is found a lot in potted plants. But if you must have this, please keep it contained. Don't throw it in the garden. It will take over everything. You can see here where it's growing up the side of the house and even damaging the masonry. I'm going to have to pull these out and probably do some caulking to repair the damage, and it's growing everywhere. And you can see that growing right here along with it is another familiar plant. This is Virginia creeper, Parthenocissus quinquefolia. Say that with me 5 times and count the 5 leaves. And this is sometimes mistaken for poison ivy because the leaf shape is similar, but it is perfectly safe. It'll sometimes grow little 3 leaves, but it is a common native plant here, but I'm probably still going to remove it just because I don't want it there. Another rather annoying vine is greenbrier, also called catbrier. This is Smilax rotundifolia, and you may recognize this as well. It takes over shrubs and grows at the middle of them and just extends way out the top of the plant here. It's got these nasty thorns on it that are going to cause me to pull some gloves out of the shop before I rip these out. Some folks will actually find the leaves of these edible. I don't care. I'm going to get rid of every single one of them just because they're annoying. It is a native, but just an undesirable one in my opinion. As you can see here, I've got a bit of a mess on a part of the yard here that is pretty wooded, and there's tons of vines growing throughout. And you can see the main culprit here is English ivy. It's growing everywhere. It is completely taken over. This probably started out with a previous homeowner, maybe just dumping the contents of a potted plant, but you can see years later it is completely growing everywhere as a ground cover. It's very, very invasive. But I have saved the worst for last, and this is Chinese wisteria. This is an incredibly invasive plant. It's taking over all these trees, growing all the way to the tops of them. Getting these out is going to be a nightmare. And not only does it grow up the trees themselves, it grows up the side of the house. It takes over everything. And you may find it beautifully blooming in the springtime with those lovely purple flowers, but trust me, it's not worth it. If you must have wisteria, there is a native version that is fairly common in the southeast, and you still have to control it. But it's a lovely plant as well, but it's not nearly as aggressively invasive as these guys.